Hey guys, welcome back to Unicycle Lore. Today, we are doing a deep dive on unicycling's coolest trick. We are talking about the UniWhip, or the seat whip, which is what I prefer to call it. Although, if you ask some riders, they're gonna say you gotta make a distinction between the two tricks, like they're actually different. Some riders consider a seat whip to be the version of the trick where the cranks stay stationary and the frame just rotates around it, whereas a UniWhip would then be the version of the trick where the entire unicycle flips, including the cranks, which is much more common, as you'll see throughout the video. Personally, I think the distinction is kind of unnecessary, and I am one of the people who uses the terms interchangeably. I just think seat whip sounds cooler, to be honest with you. So forgive me if you're a stickler for trick names and this is gonna bother you, but let's dive into it here, guys. With the early to mid 2000s era of unicycling, this is like the pre-street to early street and flat era. The whip was a trick of legend at this time. Like, people were not even sure if this was possible. You gotta figure it was around the time when there was like a handful of guys who could 720 unispin. We've come so far from this time, obviously, but some freestylers claim to have seen a variation of the seat whip involving starting in a seat drag and then whipping into a seat drag in front, or a seat push, or maybe it's the other way around. It's tough to tell from these posts. It became kind of a niche trick in early flatland and street riding to do this version where you hop on the cranks and then jump and kind of pinch the wheel between your feet and land with the seat on the other side. This is a picture here of someone doing this forever ago. I don't even know when this is from. I saw a comment online referring to this as the Ben Johan trick, because apparently there were two guys, Ben and Johan, who were really good at this. They were the only people who could do it at the time, presumably freestyle guys, because I think this is like pre-2000. So this was super rare. It was kind of like a novelty trick, a bit of a gimmick. Another popular version of the whip early on was this crank grab whip. This is like very early street days. Dan Heaton invented this, where you jump into a crank grab and whip the seat and then hop off whatever obstacle you were crank grabbing. This was like a rite of passage for younger riders at the time. Me and my friends used to just go to the park and we would like just climb up on the picnic bench. We weren't able to hop that high, so we would climb up there and put our crank in a crank grab and just whip it around and kick it, and it was cool. People did foot plant seat whips. That was also popular at the time. It wasn't until around 2007, August 2007 to be specific, that you get a legit street rider, Luke Colalto, one of the best in the game at the time, trying a real whip. And there's no video of it, but apparently he was getting both feet on this. I remembered a forum post about it, couldn't find it, so I actually just reached out to Luke himself, and he had the picture that I remembered in my head. Look at this picture. I saw this when I was 12. It blew my mind. He's got his feet on the pedals. He's whipping it backward with a tire grab. He never quite landed it, but I imagine this was the beginning of people being like, okay, this is possible. This can be done. Now, as it turns out, it would take another 3 years before someone actually landed a seat whip. You get this absolute banger of a video, one of the most consequential unicycle videos of all time, in my opinion. NAUCC 2010 by Max Schultz. In the middle of this video, he landed the Max Whip. Okay, it was unbelievable at the time. I was in the gym for the video competition at NAUCC 2010, and we totally freaked out. This was like he broke the game. We all went out and tried it right after this. Immediately after, we had to be on the unit to, there was an adrenaline rush that we had to take advantage of. We realized pretty quickly that the technique was kind of impossible for anyone other than an elite level rider, and in particular an elite hopper like Max Schultz, who at the time I think could hop like over 130 centimeters. It just felt impossible. You fast forward 1 year to 2011, and then that's when the second variation of the whip happened. This is the classic UniWhip, landed by Adrien Delacroix, another GOAT tier flat rider. Okay, this is like a guy who's coming off back-to-back, I think, Flatland World Championships at the time. But his technique looked much more accessible for high-level riders. He basically applied a unispin technique to the whip. This was a forward whip with a pre-hop, where the entire thing flipped. The cranks flipped here. This is the UniWhip. But yeah, this one looked like, okay, maybe there's something we could work with here. You know, this is like a technique that seems a little more reasonable. Still though, only GOAT tier riders doing whips. Skip ahead another year, Tim Desmet lands notably the first rolling UniWhip. This is another elite level guy. Tim Desmet, I think you can make an argument that he's like Max Schultz, one of the greatest all-around riders of all time. This is around the time when whip circles started to kind of pop up at every comp, every unicycle meetup, where you get just a circle of guys trying tricks, and then it devolves into everybody just trying UniWhips. I'm sure you've seen them if you've been to any unicycle event. Every once in a while, someone gets close and the whole crowd gasps because it's like, so it's gonna go down. People started to really focus on this thing. They wanted to start landing it. You know, more people are doing it. I tried this thing, this abomination. The guy wanted to call it the clock whip, but I didn't actually land it. This is around the time I also started trying end-to-end whips. And the big one here is that Jack Sebben begins trying whips in 2012, if I remember correctly. You get to 2013, and Jack becomes the third rider ever to land the UniWhip. This took place at NAUCC 2013. It was an incredible moment. So it's tough to really overstate Jack's impact on the story of UniWhips. At the time he landed it, he wasn't like the world champion household name guy that you know today. He was a serious like up and comer. Okay, I think there are probably people who hadn't really heard of him, unless they were cued in watching his attempts. And when he landed it, it was like it kind of unlocked something in the unicycle community where people were like, okay, if you just put in the work like this kid did, anyone can do this trick. It's possible. You can do it. And he just blew the doors wide open on it. The first rider to get a whip after Jack was Brandon Nankerville, followed by Marcus Hahn. Nate Miachi, who also at the time was, I mean, this kid came out of nowhere and became amazing. His whip was actually what lit a fire under me to go land it. Before I did it though, Colby Thomas landed it. He became one of the best whippers of all time then, in my opinion. And then you get your third variation of the seat whip, which was by me, the end-to-end seat whip. This is my favorite trick I've ever landed, just in terms of how it looks and also how it feels to do it. This is my favorite trick I've ever done. I'm really proud of it. And then later in the year, Christian Brink Vestergaard landed his UniWhip. My dogs are barking. Skip ahead to 2014, and you get Hugo Vieille, French rider. I think he's the youngest to ever do it. I'm pretty sure he was 14 when he landed this, which is crazy. Also, 2014, Mario Bell. And he went off a drop for this one. He's the first rider to ever do a UniWhip down a drop, and I'm pretty sure he only ever did them off of drops. Later in 2014, Christian Kendall landed one, and then in the summer, Schaefer Nickel landed this seat whip, which is actually a pure seat whip. Look at that, no crank flip. And then in the summer, I landed a fakie max whip to tire. I think this is probably too sketchy to really count. Then we move ahead to 2015, which in my opinion, 2015 is the year of the whips. The beginning of the year started out with Matthias Schober landing his seat whip, which is a rolling seat in front UniWhip. And then I also landed the regular UniWhip this year. But then you get to the summer and it just starts raining variations of UniWhips. First, the 180 max whip, which has become known as the Adri whip, landed by Adrien Delacroix, his second variation that he invented of the whip, which is super cool. This is a really cool version. Then the sixth variation, I landed the whip on tire, the Brill whip. This was previously the hardest I've ever battled for a seat whip variation. I have a whole video about it. I can send you a link if you want to see it. Yeah, it was a hard one. And then in the summer, I think this one, I don't know if people know about this one, but in summer 2015, in a flatland comp at CMQ in Montreal, Maxime Peabody landed the Tire Grab Max Whip, which he named the Alien Whip. And this is like the one that Luke Colalto had been trying in 2007. He landed this thing. I think it was as a final trick, and I think it was after he'd used his attempt, so it was like the ones where you just go for fun. But look how fired up everybody was. I mean, this was a huge moment, and I think people forget that this one went down. So you skip ahead after that to 2016, and Colby Thomas landed UniWhip, but he did it static. The static UniWhip, which is pretty cool. You could just see that he was kind of dialing in his technique here. And then I landed an AdriWhip in 2016 as well. This was in February 2016. As far as I could find, those were the only ones in 2016. Then in 2017, you get the 8th variation of the seat whip, which I'm going to call the pinch whip here. I don't know what other people call it, but this is by Giovanni Epinat. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Joni Epinat. Anyway, this is a seat whip, like a pure seat whip. The cranks don't flip, and he pinches the wheel between his feet to make it go around. This is a really cool variation. I'm surprised more people haven't done this, actually. It seems like it would work really, really well. I might have to give this a try. He was so good at this that he was even able to do it down a drop. I'm pretty sure a stair set, like a 3 set or something. I'll find the clip. But yeah, this is a super cool one. And then later that year, Adrian landed his AdriWhip riding fakie. So a fakie AdriWhip, if you want to count that, that'd be the 9th variation. You skip ahead to 2018 and you get another AdriWhip, this time by Kevin Gaudier, another French rider. It's interesting to me that his first variation of the whip that he's landing is the AdriWhip, because it just seems like such a hard one, you know? Also in that year, Cornell Out landed a UniWhip, and Daniel Ackerman also landed a UniWhip. Moving on to 2019, you get Clément Pujol, another French rider who landed a whip, and Dale Gritch, who I think Dale takes the prize for the cleanest first seat whip ever done. I don't know. You be the judge. Look at this thing. 2020, Lorenz Deneuve landed this, and his technique looks super, super good. It looks like he was actually getting pretty consistent at these. I hope this dude still rides. I might have to check out some of his newer stuff. Kevin Gaudier landed the UniWhip in 2020 as well. That's his second variation of the whip that he landed. And then Quentin Rohr landed a UniWhip as well in 2020. Now, since then, people have really migrated to Instagram, which makes it much more difficult for me to find the clips. Searching for stuff on Instagram is brutal. I don't know why you guys stopped posting on YouTube. Please come back so I can find the footage. I did some digging. If you hashtagged UniWhip, I found it. I found that Stefan Rank, Levi Prindle, and Fuo Sato, those were the only ones I could find. Is that it? Are those all the whips from 2021 to 2025? Now, if you've been paying attention on here to what's going on in the unicycle world, you might have seen I just raced a couple people to the fakie max whip, because the one from 2014 was just very unsatisfying to look back on. It just doesn't seem like it counts, you know? And I lost my own race. The fakie max whip was landed by Stefan Rank. I like the name Rank Whip for this, or Steffi Whip. The comments, it seemed like Steffi Whip was a little more popular. I mean, we'll leave it up to Steffi in the end. That would be the 9th or 10th variation of the whip. And then another new whip drops literally the next day. So there hasn't been a new variation of a seat whip done since 2017. 8 years. And now you get 2 in 2 days. So anyways, this one is the pinched seat and back max whip, or I'm just going to call it an August whip. This was by August Agerskov. Super sick. This is like a pure flatland version of the whip. And you know what? I had to go out and try this, because to me, when I saw this, my first thought is that thing has some combo potential, you know, because you're on the cranks. You can land on the cranks after any trick and combo right into this. It just makes it uniquely comboable in a way that the other whips kind of aren't. So I gave it a try, and I came up with this. This is the 3/4 max whip by me earlier today. I couldn't do it with like holding the seat in back, so I just started with it on the floor. But this one was pretty fun. I got some ideas for this one that I'm gonna play around with if I get another chance to ride here. But in the meantime, I thought I'd show you guys this. I had to squeak in there with my own little variation at the end. I had to get in on the fun because there's just so many cool whips going down. Not cool whips. Not cool whips, not miracle whips. Don't call them that, please. It's not funny. Anyway, that puts us at literally today. Those are all the versions of the whip and everyone who's landed any variation of them that I could find. We got some more people trying whips. Okay, there are variations of the whip that have yet to go down. For example, I saw these clips of Trey Hahn from NAUCC 2025. This thing looks crazy. He's doing a whip without taking his hands off the unicycle. I would love to see this. To me, this looks like a very interesting variation of the trick. And then, I've heard rumors of some other people trying different versions of the whip. If you are trying a whip, send me clips. Send them, tag me in your videos of your attempts. Vlog your sessions. I want to see them. If you have a clip of a whip that I missed, please send me a link either in the comments or you can send it to unicyclelore@gmail.com. I want to make sure everyone's represented in the timeline. I would love for this to be a thing that I have to update every year because of all the new people who landed whips over the last 12 months. Let's make it happen, guys. This is a trick that anyone can do. If there's not a version out there already that you've tried that feels doable for you, just come up with your own. There's a million ways to whip this thing, I'm sure of it. You just got to really think about it. It's so cool to me that we're still seeing new variations of the whip 15 years on, and this is just the coolest trick. The more of these, the merrier, I think, guys. Okay, guys, I think that's going to do it here. If there's anything that I forgot, please drop a comment. If you like the video, drop a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe to Unicycle Lore. I'm going to be dropping more videos like this when I get the chance. I have a couple more ideas for things just floating around up in the old noggin that I'm going to start very soon. So watch this spot, okay? I'll see you next time.